And finally tonight, will 2023 be Joe Biden's year of reckoning? Joe Biden is not a good man. He's not even a nice or amiable man. He's not the chuckling pal that everybody wants to spend dinner with or have a beer with, despite their political differences. No, he's not that guy. Joe Biden is a mean and politically divisive man. From the beginning of his career, he's seized upon any divisive issue that he could opportunistically exploit for the purposes of advancing himself. From stoking racial tensions by inflaming fears over the school bus issue in the 70s, to attempting to destroy the reputations of good men like Judge Robert Bork and Justice Clarence Thomas during the 80s and 90s, to the declaration that Mitt Romney and his fellow Republicans want to put black people back in chains. There isn't a low that Joe Biden hasn't been willing to stoop to in an effort to destroy his political opponents and further bolster his reputation with his pathetic base. Just this past year, we saw his desperate, angry speech from in front of Independence Hall, lit to evoke the fiery gates of hell, where he proclaimed MAGA Republicans as fascistic American terrorists. This is the man who promised unity and common ground when he ran in 2020, despite the fact that the impetus for that poor excuse for a political campaign was built on the Charlottesville lie that he still repeats about Donald Trump. Throughout his political career, that's only remarkable in its incessant quest for mediocrity, Joe Biden has been able to divide Americans and throw nasty, unfounded, defamatory allegations against conservatives from a position of untouchable immunity. As a sitting senator from a deep blue Democrat state, he could pretty much say anything he wanted on the floor of the Senate without any real threat to his re-election dreams. As chairman of a powerful committee, he was virtually unopposed in his desire to attack men with much greater intellect and profoundly higher values and morals like Bork and Thomas. And as vice president, he could play the buffoon and punchline for Barack Obama, all while he engaged in attack dog tactics like slandering Romney as a racist. And the man at the top of the ticket, Obama, could pretend to be above it all. And through all these instances of pompous arrogance and divisive disdain for Republicans, Biden has been held unaccountable, mostly because his career as a senator and vice president was so laughably inconsequential, it wasn't worth the time or energy to call him out. Oh, that's crazy old Joe again, ranting about Republicans. Who cares? Joe Biden's been a punchline for 50 years in Washington, D.C., and in a town like this, the fact that you're constantly ridiculed and not taken seriously actually acts as a political suit of armor. Why go after Joe? The man's a joke. Well, not anymore. For the past 2 years, he's been able to continue his divisive tactics and lie about Republicans without having to face voters or a hostile Congress. He could call Georgia's election integrity laws the second coming of Jim Crow. He got away with it. He could claim that his son Hunter Biden had done nothing wrong, and he could get away with it. He could ignore the reality that China has lied from day one about the devastating COVID-19 virus, and he could get away with it. And he could engage in a historically disastrous pullout from Afghanistan, leaving thousands stranded and 13 American servicemen murdered, and never once face tough questions from the legislative branch of our government. But today, that changes. No matter who the Speaker of the House for the new Republican majority is in the 118th Congress, the more important gavels will be held by Representative James Comer and Representative Jim Jordan. Investigative hearings are going to begin almost immediately covering Joe Biden's disastrous first 2 years as president. From the Afghanistan debacle, to the mishandling of the virus, to the lies about the vaccination and the mandates, to the use of the FBI to attack political opponents on social media and in school board meetings, to his family's business dealings with overseas entities, doing business with our government in hotspots like Ukraine, Russia, and China. Everything should and will be up for grabs for these investigative committees. Joe Biden is not a joke. He's not a punchline. He's not a befuddled old man doing what he's told. He's the same man he's always been. Angry, obstinate, argumentative, insulting, abrasive. Just because he follows up his insults with a toothy grin and some winking one-liner infused with the gratuitous use of the word malarkey, it doesn't take away the fact that Joe Biden has been at the center of every divisive political storm of the last 5 decades in this country. And now he's finally about to face oversight. He's finally about to face some real investigation. He's finally going to face a reckoning. Now, whether that reckoning ends with impeachment or a resignation in shame, or rejection from voters in a re-election campaign, or most likely a face-saving attempt to bow out and make way for fresh blood in 24. Today marks the beginning of the end of Joe Biden's political career. Let's go. That's it for tonight. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. In the meantime, I'll see you on the radio.